All right, here we go with the Unit 3 review. I'm going to try to put up as many of the formulas that you need as we go along. So again, just make sure your formula sheet is secured with the formulas that we need to have. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. So this entire first page, it's good to note that all of these are simple interest. Every single one of these are simple interest. So don't venture into the world of compound interest or APY when doing these. So as a reminder, here are all the simple interest formulas. I is equal to PRT. A is equal to P1 plus RT. T is equal to A minus P over PR. And then P is equal to A over 1 plus RT. All right, so it depends upon, are you solving for interest, the amount of money at the end, the time that's going to take, or the start money, the deposit that you'll have to make. All right, looking at these questions, how much interest is earned is the first question. Question 2, how much is in the account at the end is the question. Question number 3 is, how much is in the account at the end is the question. Number 4 is asking, how long will it take? So those are the various questions. Now all we have to do is make sure we use the appropriate formula for said question. So how much interest is earned is the very first question, so that's I. All right, so we need a principal or the start money, and we see that Chris deposited $7,000. We need a rate, which they say is 7%. Again, make sure you use the decimal version of that, so that's 0.07. And we need a time, and we see that this will exist for 35 years. So we put those various aspects into the problem. And we see that the amount of interest that is going to be earned is $17,150. Easy enough. All right, number 2 is the same base information, but they ask how much money will be at the end. And so that's A. But we use all the same information as we did in number 1. So we still have a principal of 7,000. We still have a rate of 7%, and this still is for 35 years. And so that's going to be 7,000 plus 7% for 35. So that's 24,150. Okay. So we figured out how much interest was earned, and we also figured out how much is at the end. Again, just use the formulas that you need to have. Right. Number 3, how much money is going to be in the account? That's again A. All of these are simple interest, so again, make sure you use these. So our start money in this situation is 19,000. Rate is 8%. And the time that this is going to exist is for 46 years. So this is 19,000, 1 plus the rate times the time. So 88,920, option D. All right, and last but not least, how long will it take? So time is the question. Bars. All right, so we see that we deposited 1,200 and we have the rate of 6.5%. All right, but what is the amount at the end? And a lot of times students get baffled by this one, hunting for the amount at the end, where it's just kind of given in context. You want your money to double in value. All right, so what that would mean is if I started with 1,200, I want that to double, i.e. times 2. So that implies that we want $2,400 at the end. All right, we want 2,400 at the end. Now you don't see 2,400 written down anywhere. It's up to you to be able to figure out that kind of number based upon the money doubling or whatever it happens to be doing. All right, now that we have all those various aspects, we can go ahead and put in our numbers and get our answer. So how long will this take? That's 24 minus 12, divide by 12 times 0.65. And that's going to be taking 15.38 years. All right, that's how long it's going to take. All right, so all of this first page is strictly, oh, snap. Is strictly, what is it? Is all simple interest. It's all these formulas right there. That's all you need for the first page. Okay, moving on to the second page, note that all of these problems are going to be compound interest. So let me remind you of all of those formulas that are compound interest. So we have A, which is P1 plus R over C to the CT. We have P, which is, which is 1 plus R over C to the CT on bottom of A. And then we also have I, and I is going to be equal to P 1 plus R over C to the CT minus P. Okay, so all of these are the same letters as simple interest, except obviously for the letter C. The letter C represents how many times a year it compounds. All right, so here we go. The letter C, the various words are going to be annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, and daily. All right, what these mean, how many times a year these things happen. Annually is once, semi-annually is twice, quarterly is 4, monthly is 12, bi-weekly 26, weekly is 52, and daily is 365. All right, so these are the formulas that we are going to be using. I'll kind of minimize these, put these on the side so we can actually get these specific problems accomplished. All right, so this very first question is asking, how much will you have in the account? Okay, that's asking for A. Number 6 is how much will you need to deposit? That is asking for P. And 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are asking find the value at the end. Those are all asking for the value of A. And I'll kind of teach you a trick on how you can accomplish those relatively quickly. All right, back to the beginning. Here we go. How much will you have in the account? So we're looking to accomplish this. How much will we have at the end? And that's going to be P1 plus R over C to the CT. All right, so various things that we need is the principal. How much do we start with? And so we just deposited 4,000. All right, next is the rate. The rate we have here is 6%. So we make sure we make those proper adjustments, and that will be 0.06. C, the new value, and I see that this is going to occur monthly. So that is going to be 12 for the monthly for that C value. That's the stuff written in green on the right. And the amount of time that this is going to take is 5 years. All right, so here we go. So this is 4,000, 1 plus 6% monthly for 5 years. Option B right there. Okay, pressing forward, how much would we need to deposit? So that is asking for P. And so that's 1 plus R C, CT on bottom, all underneath A. And what we have here is this. How much are we going to have at the end? We want 6,000. What is the rate that we are using? 6%. How often does it compound? This is quarterly. So quarterly is 4. How much time? It's going to take 15 years. All right. So what we do is go ahead, plug those in. Okay, make sure that exponent of 4 times 15 is written in the denominator when you do this. I'm going to adjust this just to make sure that I have stuff in the right spots. There we go. And so this is going to be 2,455. All right, thank you. I just took a little break here to switch classes and things like that. I believe we are moving on with these final problems, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And they're all asking the same question is how much money will we have at the end? So all of these problems coming down the line are following the same general formula of this right here. All right. And so what I notice in all of these problems, they all have the same principal of $3,000. They all have a rate of 3%. And they all have a time of 10 years. Now, the difference between 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is obviously the letter C, the number of times that it compounds. So I see, no pun intended, that the first one is going to be 1 because it's annually. The second one is 2 because it's semi-annually. And then we have quarterly and monthly and daily. So when we set this up, all of them are going to, in essence, be the same formula. It's just I'm changing the letter C to make it fit 1, 2, 4, 12, and 3, 6, 5. So here we go. Let's set it up for number 7. So we got P 1 plus R divided by C to the C times T. All right, so the first one is 4,031.75. Cool. Now, for the next equation, everything is 100% the same, except for that C that was a 1 is now going to be a 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to retype it, but I'm just going to arrow back into the equation itself, delete all the 1s that I had written down, and put 2s in their place. Etc., etc. Now I'm going to delete the 2s and put in 4s. Last but not least, putting in 365. All right, and so that is that. So all of the second page again is all compound interest, which are those 3 equations right there with a little bit of knowledge about what those C's are. All right, last but not least, this very last page is obviously dealing with annual percentage yield, or AKA APY. All right, there are going to be a couple questions in here that are the how much money will you have, and what they're referring to is the compound A, but you'll hopefully obviously see those when those come around. But anyways, here's the APY. Here's the new formula that you'll probably need. And that's going to be 1 double open parentheses, 1 over C, just to the C, not to the CT, minus 1 times 100. And this answer is going to be a percentage, and it's going to be closely related to the original. So this answer, when they ask for APY, and I guess technically number 13, your answer is going to be really close to 2.6%, the original percentage, right? But we'll see that when we get there, all right? So this is what APY is. But note that in number 12 is how much money will you have? All right, so this is just the A that we got done doing with compound interest. And so I see that the P is 12,000, the rate is 2.6%. The compounds is quarterly, and the time is 1 year. And the time is 1 year. Putting those numbers in place. we see that we'll end up with 12,315 and 6 cents. All right, now to the new question is, what is the annual percentage yield? All right, we've already picked out all the key aspects. All we have to do now is just answer the APY version of the question. So that is going to be double open 1 plus 0.26 quarterly minus 1 times 100. So here we go, double open, 1 plus 0.26 by 4, close to the 4 minus 1 times 100. And this is going to be 2.63%. Make sure you have this to 2 decimal places. So 2.63%. As I said, it will be very similar to the percentage that you're originally given. It'll just be a little bit more. Most often. All right. Pretty much do the same song and dance again. All right. How much money will you have? What is the annual percentage yield? So how much money will you have? Compounded semi-annually for 1 year. Excellent. And the next one is, what is the APY? Again, just kind of generally notice how the APY is strongly real close to the actual original percentage that we have. It was 4.4, and now the APY is 4.45. So very close to what the original thing was. All right, last but not least, I believe it's just a straight up, what is the APY question? So you don't have to find the money in the first place. This is just asking what is the annual percentage yield. So this is just straight up asking what is this. Let's try that again. Here we go. APY. Right. Note that when you get this, all you need is an R and a C. Those are the only two things. So here, Cassie deposits $3,000. Who cares? It's not used in the problem itself. So I don't need to know that information. They'll give you too much just so it can confuse some easily confusable students. All right. So in this one, all you need is the rate and the number of times that it compounds. Those are literally the only two things that you need to to make this clock tick. But if you have those things, just go ahead and dump them in, and you will come up with an answer. So here we go. 1 plus the rate divided by the compounds to the compounds minus 1 times 100. .99% to you and I. That's really close. That's most likely the correct answer. All right, here, that is your review. Again, the test of this is probably soon coming around. So watch this. Make sure you have the correct formulas for the pages. So make sure you have the simple interest, compound interest, as well as this APY. Sorry for the sloppiness of the line. Those are the formulas that you need to have to be successful on this test. So update your formula sheet, make sure they're on there, give this thing a test spin. So just don't take my word for it, actually practice what you're doing.